All right, so the first thing you're going to do when you're looking at your cup is you're going to draw the ellipse that's at the top. So take a look at it. When it's facing away from us, right, it creates foreshortening, or it skews the circle that's on top of the cup or the cylinder, and that's just because of our viewpoint. So we'll go ahead and do some contour line drawing of the top of your cup and bring it around. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use our forms of measurement. And before I start drawing down the sides, I want to make sure that this oval is perfectly oval. Now, you don't need a template or some type of object to trace. You can actually just make lines where you feel the center of your oval is symmetrically, vertically and horizontally. And then take a look at, the sides. I can see that this side slopes down a little bit more than this side. So I'm going to go back over and I'm going to adjust that. I'm also going to measure and make sure from the center of my vertical line that is also the same over here. And it looks like I need to bring this in a little bit. So I'm going to go back in and I'm going to adjust this. For those of you guys that already did this part last class, you can go ahead and skip ahead. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to do the same thing from the top and bottom, and let's see how much the space is there. I'm going to bring this down a little bit, and you just adjust your ellipse as you go. Great. I'll start over here on this side. Now, a big thing about ellipses when you're drawing cups, a common thing that I find that people do is they make the ellipse when it curves, when it starts to bend around, like this part here where it starts to bend around, they tend to make it a point, and it's not an eyeball, guys. Right? It doesn't have a tear duct, so don't make that point on the end. Make it rounded on the sides. Perfect. So once you get that to your liking, go ahead and erase. I'm drawing very dark, but I would say, guys, draw lightly so that you can erase your marks. I'm drawing dark for the camera because it doesn't show up unless I draw dark. All right, so once you get your ellipse nice, we're going to go ahead and draw in the side. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to go ahead and adjust your ellipse so it's perfect on either side. And if you guys have a question, go ahead and on the Google Meet and raise your hand or speak up. If you don't have a cup, you can use the one that's that I have on my desk that's over here. And the image. But it's best to be drawing a cup from life, okay? Because the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do some forms of measurement. I'm actually going to measure with my pencil. Remember, when you stretch your arm straight out, right? I'm going to measure the top part of my cup, my ellipse, and see how many. So I'll bring this over to the video. I'm actually measuring on my side here. I'm measuring this top part from here to here, and measuring all the way down the front edge of the cup to see how many of these ellipses are going to make the length of my cup. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Outstretch your arm. And mine is about 2 and maybe a third of these. It's not quite 3, so I'm going to measure down 1, 2, and maybe just add a tiny little bit underneath here. Okay, and now what I can do is go ahead and draw down my sides. Now, depending on the curve of your cup, you might have a little bit of a lip. Mine has a tiny little lip that's here, so I'm going to go ahead and add that in. And anytime you follow the edges of an ellipse, they normally are going to be curved here. So any kind of indent is probably also going to be curved as it comes around, right? Because this is just another circle that follows all the way around, right? If we were to follow this line and we turn and turn and turn and turn, right, it is a complete circle just like the top part of our cup. Sorry if I keep moving the cup out of the way. I just wanted to show you guys. Great, so I'm gonna go ahead and add that in. And I can even measure this and see how big it proportionally how big that is in comparison to the ellipse. So I'll go ahead and outreach my arm. It's a little less than half. Is that a little less than half? Yep, that's probably about right. I'm gonna go back in and draw down my sides. Remember, if you pull like your elbow straight back instead of like twisting your arm to make straight lines, it'll help you keep those lines straight. Okay, I'm going to start curving this around. And I'll give you guys a minute to go ahead and do that part. And I'll talk about what we're going to do next. Actually, I'm going to bring this in a little bit. Yeah, the biggest thing about drawing is just looking at what's there. We will get to some more abstract drawing techniques, you know, playing around and skewing realism as we go, but you know, you have to be able to draw things realistically before you can have fun and alter them. All right, when you guys are done with this step, you've drawn your ellipse, you've checked the measurement, then you've also used this as a form of measurement to see how long your cup is. We're going to move on to the next part, and that's making sure that it's equal on either side. Just like we did when we were drawing our wine bottles, we're going to make sure that it's equal on both sides. So you can go ahead and make that line of symmetry. I'm going to use the last line that I had. Vertical line for symmetry in the oval. And I'm not using a ruler here because once you start using a ruler, everything is so perfectly mechanically straight that the human eye is automatically going to see any kind of discrepancy in your drawing. But if you just freehand everything, and even if everything's a little tiny bit off, it'll tend to look more natural than if you don't do it right with the ruler. So don't worry about having a straight edge. You can just make one.
Just for your lines to be so dark.
My lines are really dark because if I drew this as lightly as I would want to, you wouldn't be able to see it very well at home. So, but that's why I draw dark for you guys. You guys should draw light though. All right, now hopefully you guys are I'm not, if I'm going too fast for you, speak up, say something if you need some more time. I'm going to measure from my line of symmetry here and make sure that this edge is the same length from the pencil point to where my fingers are on the other side, and that it's a little off. So I'm going to go ahead and make that adjustment. Now, if you guys are decide to go to art college, this is a technique that they teach you for your drawings when you go to art school.
I plan on going to art school, but it's going to be different because I'm majoring in digital art and animation.
You know what?
To see the difference.
So actually, the funny thing is, so I went for graphic design, which was all about creating, banners and documents and art for like magazines and that kind of stuff. And I had to take a tremendous amount of drawing. I had to take my first year. I took figure drawing, where we drew nudes of people to make sure that we could draw human body proportions and that kind of thing.
Anatomy studies.
Yes, learned a lot about anatomy. I had to take a drawing 1 and drawing 2 class, so it was all about drawing still lifes. I had to take a painting class, which was pretty crazy, and because we talked all about color theory, and it's amazing how much overlap there is in all of the arts. So they're going to probably expect when you come in, they want to know that you can draw. First off,
that's why I'm trying to take as many art classes in high school as I can, so I can get that experience beforehand.
Yep. That's good. All right. So once you guys have this drawn across, I always like when anytime you have a change in the direction of a line. So for example, down here, I have another ellipse. I like to make another horizontal line to make sure that it lines up on either side. And I also look at the shape that's created in the crosshairs. So this shape over here is a little bit different than this one on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust that because this side bends down a little bit more, and I like the way that looks. All right, that's a great way so that you can see if the two shapes match on either side of your crosshairs. It tends to, like these two shapes that are here, it'll help you to create that nice symmetry as you go across. And when you're all done, which I am not, I have another ellipse that comes around here and go up to the top. So add in any of those details, like indents and that kind of thing, because details help you visually understand objects. They really do. So include them in there. Detail is great. Right, I made another line there so that I can draw here. I'll erase this so that you guys can kind of see what in the world, Mrs. Klein, are you doing? The bottom part of my cup has this like little ridge that's all the way around the bottom of it. So I'm going to add that in as well. So technical drawing, I understand, can be kind of boring, right? But you know, if you really struggle with drawing, these simple skills with measuring and, you know, just looking can really help you improve your drawing skills and help you communicate your meaning, because that's what art is all about. You know, what are you trying to communicate? And if you can't draw well enough to communicate, then other people aren't going to understand, especially what it is that you're trying to do here. All right, the next thing we're gonna get into is a drawing. So coffee cups will also have like a handle that comes out on the side. I'll give you guys the option if you want to include that in there, or if you just want to draw, you know, the side of the coffee cup. So if you want to just remove this, turn it away from you, so all you see is like the side that doesn't have the handle on it.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Perfect. Yep. That's a really good idea.
I have a big cylinder on my paper,
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay because if you see my cup, it's literally just the cylinder.
Yeah,
There's
Yep.
nothing else here because I angled like that.
that's perfect.
So I literally just put a cylinder on my paper. I have no lapses, nothing like that. I just have that.
I can comfortably say that the view where it's facing you is the most fun that I've seen, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because you get to draw the inside of it, and that's like one of the main things I struggle with.
Yep.
And I was actually good at this for once. It's like, confidence boost.
Yeah, it does. There's a lot of the like tips and tricks of the trade. Does anybody have a see-through glass? I know Nate Perkins was working with a transparent.
No, I had one I got the glass.
So if you have an actual like glass cup, you might even see the edge of the bottom of it as it turns away from you. So down here, you might even see this continue on, you know, behind, you know, especially if it's made out of glass. I'm just gonna go ahead and try not to do what I said with the. So you might see the inside part of your cup too, and that's okay, because really honestly, a cup is just a series of, circles that are repeated, or ovals that are repeated over and over and over and over and over and over again, all the way to the bottom. Same thing here, like with this edge, it does repeat all the way around. If I were to follow this back up through and try to connect the circle, right, I would see that inside part, right? It helps understanding, the structure of your objects as you're drawing them. Not just the side that you're viewing, but, what does it look like from this side? What does it look like when it's flipped upside down? You do not have to make these scribblies on the inside. I was just trying to show you that, it's circular the whole way through. So if you can see the inside part, go ahead and draw that, because it's going to help you create that illusion that it's, see-through. All right, we're going to move on to the next cup before we leave, and that is a cup when it's facing downward towards you. Okay, so how do you draw a cup that's facing you? So I'm going to try to make this stand up. Oh, it wants to work for me today. Yay. Perfect. You can also do it with a coffee cup too, just leaning it. Coffee cups are nice because they have the handle that holds it in place. But here's 2 cups, hopefully that are somewhat facing you. So you should be able to see the top edge as it goes down, and then the inside part of it. So how do we create that? Well, if something is facing you, just like when we talked about 1-point perspective in 7th grade, all right, if something is facing you, you're going to see the full shape of it. So this is no longer an oval, right? It is circle. So go ahead and draw a circle on your paper. I'm actually going to draw it down here. And don't worry if it's not a perfect circle. Don't go grab a tape roll or your cup and trace it. Really strengthen your hand-eye coordination and your observation skills by trying to draw a circle. Now, I've drawn a lot of circles, so it really helps me. All that practice really does help me. But if you have not drawn a lot of circles, just make the T, try to find where you think the center of it is horizontally. Where's the center of it vertically? And then take a look from side to side, where, make your measurements. Whoa, this side is too short. So I need to elongate that, make it bigger. I'm going to measure from the top to the bottom, which I'm thinking that both sides are going to need to be a little bit longer. It's kind of like a pizza pie. When you cut up a pizza pie, you're breaking it down into different proportions, and this way you can kind of see what proportion looks a little bit off. Okay, so once you have your circle all good, the next thing we're going to discuss is, the foreshortening, right? As you look at this cup, if you're looking at the Google Meet and the other view of the cup, you can see down all the way through the inside of it, and then you might even see a little circle that's there, or a little half of a circle. You might only see just a little bit of the top of it, and the reason why is because of your viewpoint. You're looking down like through a tunnel. So to create that, what we're going to do is take a measurement of our cup, like the center of it. So I'm going to just take this guy off of here. We're going to measure from here to here, and then we're going to measure up here, like how much of this back part can you see in proportion to here. So this is really, really, really big. All right, and then I'm going to move this up and measure, and it is like less than half that I can see from the back side of it. I'm going to set this back down here. So less than half, it's probably maybe like a third of the way up, woo, right, is the back part. So I'm going to go ahead, just like I did here where I made my little measurement and then I drew my lines down. I'm going to draw my lines going backwards towards from the sides. Backwards towards my little indication here. Okay. And then the bottom is always curved, guys, right? We know it's a circle. Now here's where the tricky part comes in. How do you make this look like you can see into it? But I'm going to wait for you guys to do your measurements, and then I'll get into that in just a minute. And guys, use that eraser. My goodness, don't just settle for what you put down on the paper first. That's not strengthening or honing your skills. That's not building your studio habits. Right? If something doesn't look right, continue to make new marks until it does look correct. I can't tell you how many times I erase when I'm drawing, and I've been doing it a very, very long time. Okay, you guys ready for this next? This is the part that always like mind boggles me. The first thing that we're going to do though is measure from side to side to make sure that our side walls are proportionate, and they are not. At least on mine, it's not. So I need to go ahead and widen it a little bit more, so that it's the same on either side. Pick a side that looks the best. That's what I do. It's like, oh, I like this side, but I don't like that side of across the line of symmetry. Just make an adjustment. All right, now what we're going to do is we know that the front is a circle and the back is a smaller circle. So on this back side here where I told you guys to curve it, right, because this indicates the bottom of the cup, follow it all the way back around until you make another circle. And you can divide this in half and measure again. But follow it back around until you have that circle. And if you have a clear glass cup, this is what it looks like, right? If you had just a glass cup laying on its side, you would see all of these lines. Now, if you're drawing a coffee cup though, right, it's solid on the outside, or a styrofoam cup, it's solid on the outside. So you wouldn't see that whole circle as it goes all the way around. So what you would need to do is just erase the top part of the cup where you see those lines, and now you have what looks like a tunnel, or the inside part of the cup as it's facing you. We have about 3 more minutes left. The last thing that I would suggest doing is thickening some lines that indicate edges. So for example, this top edge of my cup has thickness, right? There is a lip that's there, right? If I just leave it as a line, it tends to look as though, it's paper thin. So I would just actually go back through and add, a parallel line, all the way around, taking my time. And guys, I draw slowly even when I'm not teaching. It takes a lot of patience and practice and focus. So take your time. So when you start to thicken up some of your lines, that might be a little bit too thick, but so I might go back in and get that a little fixed, but right, it starts to kind of give it a little bit more shape. I would do the same thing around this ellipse too. Let's just make it thicker. And the interesting thing is if your cup is on its side, it's going to get actually thinner too, but towards the back edge, because things get thinner or smaller as they come away from us. All right, so that's all I got for you today. Tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to draw our cups on the side. I will videotape that too and post it in case if you guys miss that class. And depending on how much this is curved, you might even see, here, let me do another one. Depending on how curved this is, you might even see the bottom of it come back through on the opposite side. And it's turned away from you. Okay. And that's what we're going to do next. Cool. All right, guys, you may leave the meet. I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow.
See you later.
Bye.
See you in a few minutes.
Yes, see you for art club. Yeah, art club today. All right, that's the bell. I'm going to let you guys go, and I'll see you next time. Okay, let's do this. And go to this. And click on ESP.
Hello.
Hey there, how's it going, Aubrey?
I'm doing pretty good.
Oh, good.
How about you?
I'm doing all right. Oh,
That's good.
I have like a blinding light in my. We're doing some still life drawing with studio art, so. Whew.
Hi.